Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's a big day today. Champions League knockout football is back. It's the best time for the knockout football because there's a week between each game. I hate it when you've got to wait 2 or 3 weeks for the return leg. So proper Champions League football is back with us. I'm joined by the brilliant Dan Potts, the wonderful LB. How are you, gents?
Good. Looking forward to tonight. Buzzing for it.
Bro's got that revenge in mind, innit? For being humiliated all those years ago.
Different Arsenal, mate. Different Arsenal that was, man.
Different Arsenal. We'll see, man. But yeah, I'm good. Big up to you guys.
Good. I am. I'm still buzzing off of my 2-2 win at the weekend.
Oh, we're all
man.
Yeah, I know. We were all friends for a few hours. You know. You know, like during World War I when the Germans and the Brits Christmas Day they went and played football together.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. Let's just let's have a little down tools for a bit and just all get together to laugh at Liverpool. And that was great fun. And we don't play midweek, so my mood can't be upset now until at least the weekend. So I'm happy about that indeed. But loads to go through today with Champions League previews. We're going to be having an Enzo Fernandez debate on this show, so stay with us for that. We're talking Paqueta to Manchester City, terms agreed. Amorim to Liverpool, reportedly, terms agreed. And RIP to John Murtaugh. He has been sacked and relieved of his Manchester United duty with Dan Ashworth and Mr. Wilcock on their way in as Man United's rebuild begins. So we'll be touching on all of that today. I want to start with Man City. And the news regarding Paqueta. Personal terms agreed, according to the journalist Santi, who's very credible. It's a player that you almost got in the summer, albeit. How happy are you to see that deal progress again so early, essentially, in terms of getting that news out there that he still wants to be your player?
Yeah, well, listen, I think this deal is just waiting for one thing, and that's those charges for Paqueta to be dropped. And I think as soon as those charges are dropped, I think he's a Manchester City player. 85 million quid release clause. I think that's worth the money these days. You know what I mean? He's 26, going on 27. So I think that's good money. He's a brilliant player. I think he's a fantastic player. And I genuinely feel that if we had him this year, I think we'd be doing a lot better in the league than what we've done, because we've lacked someone like him, someone that can just take the game by the scruff of the neck in some games, a little bit more creativity to the team, goals, assists. You know what I mean? I think he's got 14 goals and assists for West Ham, which is very impressive. And I'm just super excited about him, man. Like, you know when you sign in a player, sometimes you get super excited about them. Like, I'm really, really excited for Paqueta. He's got that Brazilian bit of flair. He gets stuck in defensively. I think his off the ball work rate goes unnoticed. I think a lot of West Ham fans will back that point up, that he works super hard. And he's got that little bit of quality to unlock a defense. So I'm really, really excited for it. Like I say, 85 million these days. I mean, it sounds stupid, but that is probably a good price, you know. So I think as soon as those charges are done, I mean, this is the thing. Because
whose charges, his or yours?
Ours is 2030. You know, you're not hearing any of our charges for another couple of years. But you know, I don't know if you've heard anything else, but like, I don't know. There's some news came out from Brazil a couple of weeks ago. One of the Brazilian guys who's part of the Brazilian FA came out and basically said, "Now the charges are done." So everyone thought, "Oh, the charges are done. The charges are done." But then the FA in this country come out and said, "No, the charges are still not sorted." So it seems like something dodgy is going on there with the charges. Like maybe the Brazilian FA have completed their investigation and those charges have now been dropped, but the English FA is still working on it. I don't know if you guys have heard like anything from your side, but it seems a bit strange that you would have thought that the investigation would have been working in tandem, wouldn't you, rather than like completely separate?
You would, and it's gone so quiet. I mean, when it was Ivan Toney in the build up to him being banned, it was mentioned almost weekly by newspapers, on debate shows, etc. I know, I don't mean this. Maybe it's because Ivan Toney was in and around the England squad. It makes it bigger news in the UK. But it's just gone absolutely quiet. And the irony in it is all that he's pretty much played a full season. You guys may as well have signed him, you know. And listen, Núñez has been a flop for you. Kovacic has done okay. I think now with hindsight, letting Cole Palmer go has been a problem. These decisions or these mistakes that have been made, I think, are the big difference between City last year and this year in relation to just that. I keep hearing this: City aren't as good as last year. They're still the best team in the world. But there's been some marginal areas where you've got a little bit weaker. And I think someone like Paqueta will bridge that gap again massively. I'm jealous, to be honest with you. It's a fantastic piece of business, and to get it done this early is brilliant, because it's going to be a hard summer again for signings because the Euros are on. So you've got this big month period that makes it difficult. And if you can get a deal like that over the line pretty much, the week after the Premier League ends, it's because there isn't much more you need after that, I would assume.
Well,
back or fullback, but
I don't know, because Bernardo Silva's, I know I've been saying this for 3 years, but he probably will leave now because of the release clause. I think that's been the only stumbling block for Bernardo Silva not leaving City in the previous years, has been City won 80, 90 million. Whereas obviously now he's got a £50 million release clause. So I would be shocked if no European side bid that 50 million, because that's an absolute bargain. 50 million for Bernardo Silva.
Ineos, get it done.
Yeah, not you guys. But if you can get Paqueta in, I think Paqueta's almost the perfect replacement for Bernardo Silva. I really, really do. But it's funny you say that, Terry, because I actually think the City squad needs a little bit of freshening up. I genuinely do. I think maybe what I reckon, don't quote me on this, but I reckon 1 or 2 players that you don't expect might leave. I think maybe Kyle Walker. Don't be surprised to see him leave. And maybe just one other player, and just freshen it up a little bit. Because you've got to understand as well, like, we've got more games next year, more Champions League matches. We've got the Club World Cup after the season ends. So I think Pep is going to add a couple of extra players to his squad. Because of more games. And of course, you've got to accept that, like, Kevin De Bruyne, you can't play him every game now. Like, you're going to have to manage his minutes properly. He's not a player now that I think that you can play Wednesday, Sunday all season. I think you've really got to be careful with his minutes. So, if we're saying that Paqueta is going to be the Bernardo replacement, who's mainly on the wing, you might need another midfielder. That's why obviously we've been linked with the Kimmiches, the Musialas, the Wirtz, just because I don't. And let's be honest, like, how long has KDB got left at City? Maybe 1 more year. 2 at an absolute push. So we got to start thinking about that as well. And I've said for a long time, you should not be signing the Kevin De Bruyne replacement the season that Kevin De Bruyne leaves, in my opinion. You get the Kevin De Bruyne replacement the year before to allow that player, especially if they're not English, because then they've got to get adapted to the country, the culture, the everything. You know what I mean? You give that year, and then they don't have that pressure. It's not. I don't think it's fair. So let's just say, for example, we sign Wirtz, right? Let's just say, I'm just for example purposes, and Kevin De Bruyne leaves this summer, and you get Wirtz. Wirtz isn't going to be allowed the time to settle, because we need him to perform straight away. Because so that's my view. But I don't know, man. I think it's going to be an interesting summer for City. I really do.
I think you're spot on about the time to settle, and having that kind of overlap period is so important. It really, really is. And I don't think, again, well-run clubs understand that and get it done right. And we've seen before that one thing about City that annoys me, but I mean this from a perspective of praise, is you address mistakes really quickly as well. So you have made a mistake, I think, with Matheus Nunes. I think you have made a mistake with Calvin Phillips. You have made, potentially, I look at Kovacic. I think he's been good. He can hold on to the ball, but there's not much else about his game. But straight away, bang, let's go and spend more money. Let's fix those problems and those mistakes that we've made, instead of saying, right, because this is what my club's done for a decade. Let's sit with the same 3 that have been a problem for another year or 2 or 3. Let's renew their deals and try and maintain some value. And before you know it, you're throwing away 4 or 5 seasons. I like the fact, again, if I take my Man United hat off, I like the fact that City are addressing some mistakes. They're going after top targets again, and they're getting it done early, because they're not resting on their laurels. They're not sitting there and saying, well, we've won everything you could possibly win. We're the best team in the world. Let's get fat. Let's get bloated. Let's stop preparing for the future. They want to keep winning, and the standards are being set there 100%.
I don't think they appreciate how much or how hard it was to replace Mahrez and Gundogan. Because people will say, oh, they'll just replace Mahrez and Gundogan. It's quite hard to do, man. It's quite hard to do. Like, Mahrez is ridiculously good, and they've not replaced him. They've struggled. They've used players out there, but they haven't got Riyad Mahrez to bring on anymore. I don't really understand the Matheus Nunes signing. I didn't at the time, and I still don't now. I don't think the guy is a Man City level player at all. And Kovacic is good, but he's not Gundogan. Paqueta, LBO told you on the 6th of March, I was told this was done. On the 6th of March, I was told this was a done deal and he was going to Man City. And I text LB, and I actually texted the group because I wanted to wind up Lawless because they're missing one of their biggest players again, right? But I was told this was done. And when it was done, I was like, that's a really good signing, man. He's a baller, absolute baller. Took him a few months, to be fair, at West Ham to settle in. It wasn't like, bang, this guy's the real deal. West Ham had an absolutely shocking season in the league last year. I know they won the Conference League, but they were terrible in the league. I think they finished 15th or 16th in the end last season. So Paqueta was a part of that. But I honestly believe he'll ball out at Man City and Pep will get the best of him. So this is a brilliant signing. The release clause at 80-something million is a really good deal. I don't think the guy's ridiculously old. He's not young, but I think he's in his mid-20s, 26. There we go. So he's ready now. You don't have to wait 5-6 years for him. It's not like a Doku signing where you're trying to still wait for him to not be a Adama Traore and turn into something more than that. But for me, I think this is a really good signing, man. So if this happens, it'll be the first. I agree with LB. I think they'll freshen up, but I kind of feel like they kind of have already. Like we've seen Gvardiol come in, we've seen Nunez come in, we've seen Kovacic come in, we've seen Doku come in. That's trying to freshen it up. Some of them just ain't made it yet. Doesn't mean they're not going to, because Pep will get the best out of them, no doubt. But this is just the start of what I think will be a really good one. And if Man City don't win what they expected to, I expect Pep to go, right, sorry, I ain't having that next season. Boom, boom, boom. So, you know what I mean? It's going to be scary if they don't win, saying it's like even worse. You know what I mean?
I know. I said on the Top 6 show last night, we're here for it. Imagine Man United win the FA Cup this year and this great City team wins nothing. It'd be hilarious. But that'll only be short-lived because 100%. It'll be like... I remember watching the film Pearl Harbor and there was a line in it, I don't remember the name of the actors, where it said in Japanese, where this sort of one person in the Japanese army spoke to this sort of admiral in the Japanese army and said, yeah, we got the Americans. And he had this look on his face, like, we've just woken up a sleeping giant. And that's the problem when you laugh at City for failing. It's all you're really doing is kicking a sleeping dog. It's not going to end well for you in the end. But there we go. But viewers, look, I want your views, want your opinions on Lucas Paqueta to Man City. Personal terms agreed. It's pretty much a done deal. It's going to get over the line. Give us your thoughts and your feelings below. Another story that circulated today surrounds Liverpool, and it's come out of Germany that Ruben Amorim has agreed to join Liverpool in principle. So obviously the clubs haven't agreed anything as of right now. Liverpool Football Club and sort of some of the close journalists to them have sort of denied this story and said there's sort of nothing of it. But a lot of reporters on the continent, there's a few journalists I've spoken to that have said we're all hearing the same thing. We're just not sort of reporting on it right now publicly. But Ruben Amorim to Liverpool, Potsy, do you think that's a good enough replacement for Jurgen Klopp? Will that keep them moving in the right direction, or are you a little bit underwhelmed looking at his pedigree and CV?
Well, you're never going to replace Jurgen Klopp with a like for like, unless you go and get Pep Guardiola, because he's probably up there being one of the best, isn't he? Alongside the likes of Carlo Ancelotti, etc. You're not really going to go and say, right, we've had enough of Klopp. Let's go and get this guy who's going to be just as good as Klopp. So whether it's Xabi Alonso, Ruben Amorim, whether it's De Zerbi, or whether it's a completely different direction, you're never going to go and replace what Klopp's done. He's been magnificent at Liverpool, right? But I like where they're going with this because it's a style of play that is attractive. It's somebody that's highly rated. It's somebody that can grow with the team. And I don't think it's somebody who wants to come and just do 18 months and go. And if Liverpool have decided that the way they want to go is similar to what Jurgen Klopp's done and give this guy some time, then that's the right sort of manager to go for. If they want somebody to take this Liverpool side, add a couple of signings to it with a couple of hundred million and go and win me something in 18 months, then go and get a Conte, Simeone, Ancelotti type. If they don't want that and they want an actual project, they are going to have to look towards somebody like him. And I think he's played some good football at Sporting Lisbon. I think he's been highly rated by most of them over there. There's a couple of really good players that have come out from him that are young underneath that I think he's getting the best out of. At the moment, Victor Gyökeres over there is absolutely smashing it by scoring goals. Diamande and Inacio are two players at the back that are really wanted by a lot of people. So they're definitely being coached well. What I won't sit here and do is tell you that I think this is going to be a massive success because I don't know enough about the guy. I can only go on the back of what I'm hearing. I don't watch Portuguese football. I don't watch what style of play they have. I just hear that this guy's got some good things about him. I saw him play against us last season and he played very well against us. He beat us in the Europa League, if you remember, over 2 legs on penalties. So this guy definitely knows how to play football. Whether he can take what he's learnt from that country over to England, I don't know. But if Liverpool want a project again, and they might say, do you know what, with Klopp, potentially Salah, maybe Van Dijk, maybe Trent leaving, we need a new project in the next few years and we're giving it to this guy, then fair play. But that's what they've got to decide, and it looks that they're deciding towards that again. Because let's be real, it worked with Klopp. You know, Klopp come from Dortmund and he was proven, but at the same time, it wasn't like he was an Ancelotti that's got a CV.
Nah, but Klopp was
Win, win,
much
win,
more.
win, win.
Klopp was much more respected in the game than Amorim is respected now.
No, I agree, LB. But what I'm saying is he didn't have a CV at the time that says everywhere I go I win, like this Amorim guy has.
Well, I mean, Klopp, what did he do? Two league titles with Dortmund when he was there?
Just at Dortmund though.
Yeah, and then he got him to a Champions League final. He built an unreal
I'm saying
team.
it's with one club, isn't it? So my point is, Carlo Ancelotti and Diego Simeone and Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho say wherever I go, I win. And Klopp as like, well, I've only been at Dortmund. I was at Mainz obviously before that, but I've done things at Dortmund. And if you give me the time, I can do things at Liverpool. I think that's more similar with Amorim, who's only been at Sporting Lisbon, who's done well with them, than it would be to go and get an Ancelotti or a Simeone who says, or Conte and says, look, I don't care if you're Chelsea, Napoli, Real Madrid or Everton, I will do bits for you. And that's what those managers have. So I think that's the route they've gone down, is my point, that they're looking towards a project as opposed to a just win me a title next year.
Do you think they're making the right decision there with the project? I think they've just been through a project, and as good as Klopp's been, it's probably been a slight disappointment in terms of trophies and in terms of silverware. You know, he's been there 9 years. No, I'm being genuinely serious. Like, let's just speak truth. Here, I'm not trying to wind anyone up here. I'm just speaking facts. It's been there 9 years. Let's say they don't win anything this year, right? Because they might not win the league, and there's a pretty good chance. Well, they won the Carabao Cup, but there's a pretty good chance they won't beat Bayer Leverkusen in the final. Let's just say, for example, they don't win anything this year. So he's won one Champions League and one Premier League in 9 years. Do you think that they're making the right decision to go down this project style again? Like, what? Why are they not going for a win now manager?
So I'm with you. Sorry, Tel. I'm with you. I don't know why they're not. I think they should, personally, because I think they've got a good side now, and added with a couple of elements like a Simeone or a Conte or a Ancelotti type would be able to attract. There's no reason why they can't be up there. I think if you go down the route you're talking at there, LB, and I disagree with you that Klopp has been disappointing for him, but what I will agree with you is
that's not what I said. You know, I didn't say that.
Okay, well, you can come back. You can come back in a minute. But my point is that if they're going for this project alongside Amorim, they do not know if that's going to work. We've seen projects at Manchester United and Chelsea that haven't worked. To be fair, at my club, it's looking very good at the moment, but we've got nothing to show for it. So we don't know if it's going to work or not. It looks like it's going to, and I hope it does. I hope it bangs, right? But you're right, LB. For me, if I was a Liverpool fan and you said, give me De Zerbi or Amorim and give them a few years to get their side together, their style of play together, or do you want to go and get Diego Simeone, throw 150 million at it and try and compete with Man City and Arsenal next season? I'd take that option. That's just me. Some people don't like that. Unfortunately, people like stories and once upon a time, and this is my story. In 5 years' time, you're going to sell it. They don't want to win now. Nobody wants to win now. It's always about the future. It's always about a young player. It's always about 5 years' time. It is nowadays.
Okay, I understand that to a degree. I think some of that is laid on thick because it gets you out of jail. It's a planting a seed now. That if you don't win, you can say it's a project. I don't think this is going to be a project per se under Amorim. Now, if we're going to get really technical, as we had a Spurs fan on the other day saying that the rain makes it harder to kick a ball because it's slipperier, and that's just physics. I suppose you're right to a degree, but we are ignoring it's a winter sport and they play more in the rain and wet than they do in the dry. Every club is in a project, and the project is always ongoing. So you can hide behind that project element. But if we're being honest about things, Man United, what they're starting this summer is a rebuild project. Liverpool are not in a rebuild project. They are adding a manager to a team that's currently challenging to win the Premier League, only just got knocked out by one of its local rivals in the FA Cup, has won the Carabao Cup, could still win the Europa League. This Liverpool team's got a few holes in it personnel-wise. They're going to have Michael Edwards running it. I do think Amorim is a win-now manager. Now, I'm a bit like you, Potsy. I don't know him. I don't watch Sporting Lisbon enough to be able to give you a detailed breakdown of how he plays football. I could regurgitate what I've read, and it sounds very good, the style of play. You know, beautiful people talk about it. So I could sort of plagiarize other people, but I think he's a good level manager. Where I do think it stands out, and it's interesting doing this research I did before the show. So a lot of people that hate the Premier League, even though they support Premier League teams, hate the kind of top 6 talk and the top 4 talk, and no other leagues do that. It's not actually true. I found this out today. In Portugal, I can't speak Portuguese, but they refer to Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, and Porto as the big three. And they've referred to them as that since 1934. So this idea that Sky Sports invented terms like top four or big six for marketing purposes is crazy. But Sporting Lisbon financially are quite a way behind. They're a little bit behind by about 50, 60 million a year. That's still significant considering the richest club in Portugal is Benfica and they only turn over 380 million. They're 120 million behind them in terms of turnover. So to do what he's done at Sporting Lisbon for the past, since 2020, he's going to win the league title this year. So to have won 2 league titles and 2 domestic trophies, I'm not sure if he's still in it this year. I didn't go to research that. In that time, with the smallest budget of the 3 teams that he's up against, I think does make him a win now manager. This idea that he's going to go in and be given 3 or 4 years to compete and or win a trophy, I don't think exists. If he goes in year 1 and finishes 7th, there's no way they're going to spin some Arteta narrative that he's rebuilding the squad. This guy is an experienced manager. He's been managing, I know he's only 39, but he's been doing it for 6 years. He's won multiple league titles, multiple domestic trophies. He's going in there to win. I think he's going in there to try and win straight away, in my opinion. I don't think this... Now, if he doesn't win straight away because Pep wins the league and they challenge, that doesn't mean you sack him. But at the same time, I don't believe this. I get where you're coming from. It shouldn't be. But I just don't believe you can spin this as a 3 or 4 year project and a rebuild of Liverpool. They don't need real bit rebuilding, in my opinion, at all. They need to add a few more players and they need to maintain their standards. If they do those things, they're going to keep competing. Is Amorim good enough? What I've read sounds brilliant, but I'm with you, Dan. I haven't watched personally enough of Sporting to give an opinion.
Yeah, that's why it's more
I know, but what I'm reading sounds very good and hearing sounds very good.
So exactly the same as me. Exactly the same as me.
All I'd say is, like, if you look at the information that you can look at in terms of his European record, that's not great. You know what I mean? We smashed them 5-0 in the round of 16 at their home ground. That's not ideal. Last year or 2 years ago, he failed to get out of a group that had Tottenham, Frankfurt, and Marseille. That's not particularly great either. Last season, Europa League, got to the round of 16, got beat off Atalanta. I don't know what they're like. Obviously, we'll find out when Liverpool play them. The year before that, got beat in the quarterfinals. So I think his European record isn't ideal. His league record is actually pretty good. Like, his league record is good. But again, how difficult is it to do that at Sporting? Don't know. So I just think it's like, the one thing that I would say is, and someone sent it super chatting about this, is, big up Tomislav, I've just seen it, is Liverpool and City, when it comes to City, just kind of have to accept that, like, you're going to get a worse manager. Like, it's just the facts. Like, you're not going to get a better manager than Klopp. When Pep Guardiola leaves City, we're not going to get a better manager than Pep. There will be a decline when Pep leaves. There will probably be a decline when Klopp leaves at the end of the season. Like, people can sit there and moan about it, but that's just the facts. That's just the facts. So the question is then, do you either go for someone like a Conte and really give it a go, this guy's got experience, let's proper just try and send it, or do you go with someone like an Amorim who's a little bit more of a risk?
But this is my point, LB. This is my point. Look at the chat when we're talking about. You mentioned Simeone, and everyone has an absolute keyboard Tourette moment on the chat. They can't handle it. They don't want Simeone or Ancelotti or Conte near it. They don't want to win this season or next season with someone like that. They want a project. They want to. Once upon a time, we started here, and 5 years later, we were here. That's what everybody seems to want now. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, if it's me, Liverpool are ready to go and win now.
Dan, I hear what you're saying, and I agree. People say that. I think it's all for Fugazi. I think it's all about if football fans are meant to try and control the narrative about their club, and if the media repeats it, it's great. Because if Liverpool can get the media, the journalists and fans saying it's a 5-year project, that gives them a get out if they don't win. That's all it's about. It's a shield. Thanks. It's protection. Now, some clubs are genuinely in rebuild. Man United, beginning of this next season, we're ripping out the whole club. There's a takeover. Arsenal, when they brought in Arteta, was because it was years of failure and you ripped everything out and you started again. The start of City's project was in 2009. Now, it took them a while to get to a point where it took them a good 6-7 years to be able to bring in someone like a Pep. But when Pep leaves, it isn't going to be a rebuild of the club. It's going to be replacing a manager, but the structure's there. You don't need to rebuild when the infrastructure is already in place. So, yeah, I do think it's a little bit of an excuse. But LB, you're spot on. Liverpool fans have got to... This is it, though. You're spot on. They're not going to have as good a manager as Klopp. But if and when Pep leaves, they could end up winning more with a worse manager. And that's just life. That's just life sometimes, because it does sometimes...
Arsenal stepping in it.
Well, this is the thing, because... And it's Gunnar said yesterday, if Arteta was to win more trophies than Wenger, does it make him better than him? And on paper, you would say yes. But it does depend how good the teams then are in that running, because look who Wenger competed against. And who you compete against, I think, is a real key component. There are certain tennis players that have won more Grand Slams than Andy Murray. But were they playing against three players of Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal's level all at the same time for a decade? You have to factor those things in sometimes. But viewers, give us your thoughts and your feelings. Another super chat here that says Simeone wouldn't live in the Premier League with his anti-football. His side already lost 8 games in the Liga. Klopp was also unfortunately up against Pep City. I mean, to say Simeone couldn't cope in the Prem, I disagree. Simeone could definitely cope in the Premier League. Yes, he hasn't had the greatest season this year, but let's not get carried away by flavour of the month, because it was only this time last year everybody was praising De Zerbi. Now they're not. As an example, managers, if Amorim stayed at Sport, say Amorim stays this year, a better example, Alonso staying. This time next year, Bayer Leverkusen are out of the group stage of the Champions League and 6th in the Bundesliga. No one's going to want him, even though he's about to do an invincible season and could win 3 trophies. A year is a long time in football, and fans are very, very fickle. But Simeone is world class, in my opinion. Shawnee here says, I ain't disappointed more than a manager. I ain't disappointed more than a manager. Am I reading that wrong?
I don't get that. I can't get that one.
Sometimes I think it's my brain. Do you mean I haven't ever been more disappointed? I don't know.
I think he means he can't be more disappointed with the links of Amorim as a manager. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Liverpool fans would not want Simeone.
Why?
He's a winner.
Because he doesn't play the style of football that people like. That's what people are saying in the chat, I think.
What if he came in, though, didn't play the style of football you like, but won more Prems than Klopp?
That's my point.
Then what? I know you have to consider eras and who you're up against, like I said. But here we go. 26-27, Haaland, Odegaard, Bob win the quad for... Harold, you think Odegaard's going to Man City, bro?
Come on, Harold. Wind him up, lad.
180 million plus, if you've got that for him. Bob, I mean, let's be real. Oscar Bob is not going to start for Man City in 26-27. Let's be real.
Well, you never know. Pep likes him.
He does. Yeah. But is he better than Phil Foden? Not in my opinion.
Bob's a winger, isn't it?
So where they all playing then? Where's Bob? So Bob, all right. So you're saying Bob's a winger? I don't know where Bob plays, to be honest.
Yeah, Bob's
I don't think he's going to start in 26-27. Is he that good, Bob? Is he like your?
I think Pep really likes him. He's a proper Pep player.
Well, when Pep's not there in 26-27, what do you do then?
Yeah, Pep's going at the end of next season. LB, he's off. He's leaving you. I can't wait. Honestly, the day Pep leaves, I'm having a god. Can I ask you a question? Because I'd never asked this before of anybody. When Fergie retired, were you genuinely happy and relieved?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
That man haunted my childhood.
Same.
Fucking course I was happy, mate.
Ruined my childhood. I do look back though now and I think I do miss it. Which is weird.
You miss it?
No, I do miss it. Well, I missed it because
talking about, bro.
He's got Stockholm syndrome. He's got Stockholm syndrome.
I miss that rivalry. It's nothing like it is now.
Oh yeah.
That's what I missed. The rivalry. I missed that era. That era was much better.
We don't. I think sometimes we've become. Like every now and then a boxer says something stupid about I'm going to kill him in the ring, and the media goes, "Oh my god, you can't say that." I'm sort of like that. These are 2 guys that are in a training camp for 12 weeks and they're to fight and they're pepped up and the emotions are crazy. I miss managers being horrible to each other.
Same, man.
Even the other day,
most Gooners of my era, they will all say that. I miss that era. They will all say it. They will not go, that was the era we used to lose to Man United. It wasn't
I'd
about.
love to see Pep run up the Klopp and flick his tie in his face and push him. I'd love for someone to throw a pizza at someone. I'd love a keen Vieira moment in the tunnel. That element of football was amazing.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
Hey, can I ask you a question? What do you make?
What was it like back then in League Two, LB?
It was fucking great.
Full dick off, mate. Full dick off.
Didn't have to look at that fucking.
Come from us. He was a good old boy.
Let me ask you a question, Dan. What do you make of Julian saying this is the best Arsenal team he's ever seen?
Well, he's a clown, isn't he? Let's be real. Like, you know, I love Julian.
Better than the Invincibles.
But he's saying we're better than the Invincibles. He haven't won anything yet. I mean, let's just calm down a bit. Like, don't get me wrong. There's parts of the elements of this side that looks the real deal. We got to get something over the line, man, first before you start comparing it. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's be real. I've seen in '93 was where the first year I started watching it, and I was told the '91 team was outstanding. Right, I wasn't around to see it, but I missed '89 and missed '91. '93 to '95 with the George Graham era, I saw a couple of trophies where it wasn't to the standard. But then I've seen better George Graham sides and better Arsene Wenger sides than I have this. '98 side was very underrated. 2002 was actually probably better than 2004, in my opinion. We won 2 trophies first of all, and I thought that we were better with Seaman and Adams. But then when I look at it now and look at the Invincible side and how much that will stay probably forever, you can't then say to this side, who's been top of the league for a few days, I think this is a much better side and the best I've seen. I think what he means is it's got the potential to be.
Yeah,
but it isn't yet. It isn't yet.
What about this Arsenal team I like more than any other Arsenal team? I remember, again, when watching football as a child is so different to watching it as an adult because your brain don't work in the same way. But this Arsenal team's so hard to break down and they attack well. If they go on to win multiple major trophies, even do like a Premier League, Champions League double this year or next year or something like that, then you're getting into realms of those conversations because the way you're playing at the moment in terms of scoring, shutting games down, controlling them, it's like an evolution of Arsenal. For a long time under Wenger, it was we're just going to play beautiful football and kind of outscore you. You were strong defensively because you had good defenders, but I just feel it's different now. But yeah, there's no way you're better than any of those Arsenal teams at the minute because you ain't won the league. Like this year says, as a Liverpool fan, I would have Simeone in a heartbeat. That's because you're a winner, Nigel. You're a winner, Nigel. Liverpool should go after Thiago Motta. He's about
there's a lot of talk about him at Bologna that he's got a really good way of playing.
I think he's getting Juve. I read somewhere he's getting Juve. Okay. He's getting Juve.
Not that I've watched Bologna, by the way.
Jurgen Klopp not disappointed in his reign. I bet he is a little bit.
No. Shawnee, sorry, just to clarify, I'm just saying it's probably a disappointment that in the 9 years he's only won 2 major honours. That's all I'm saying.
He's basically digging out Klopp, Shawnee. That's what he's doing. He's digging out Liverpool and Klopp. That's what's happening.
If you look at the last 11 years, Liverpool and United have the same amount of Premier Leagues. And look how much better you've been than us. Yeah, I get it.
Mate, if Arteta wins the league this season.
Oh, it's on. It's on. Those conversations are on.
Can you imagine? If Arteta wins it, even LB will be like, oh, well, that's one that Klopp got and one that Arteta got.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think Arteta is better than Klopp, but I'm just there for the conversations. I'm just going to sit there in the back and just watch them. I'd love that.
Imagine if he does a double, man. He wins the Champions League and the Premier League. Could you imagine what would happen then? Then a serious discussion happen.
That does a lot. I'll be there. Why is there a toilet roll?
Why is there a toilet roll, bro? What's going on here, man?
He's on my desk. Empty as well. I don't know why it's there.
That is a worry, I can't lie.
I just saw it there. Thought, I can look through it. And then as I lifted it up, I was like, why is there an empty toilet roll? One of my kids must have put it there. Arsenal, good, but inexperienced. Liverpool have our end season blip. City due a blip. We'll come back to the title race stuff in a little bit, in a moment. This year says the Wenger and Fergie and Wenger was a war. It was absolutely brilliant. You were absolutely right there. Before we move on to tonight and sort of title race and everything, Enzo Fernandez, I need to throw this out there because it's been troubling me. And I hope man like Don's watching. Greasy Don, or Greasy Don, as I wanted to call him on Sunday, because he tried to weasel his way out of something, right? And I love Don to bits. He's a top lad, loves his club. And I think sometimes he loves them. You know, they say love is, this is a famous line from a huge hit in the 90s by the Spice Girls. But their line was, love is blind as far as the eye can see. And that is Don and a lot of Chelsea fans when it comes to Enzo Fernandez. Let me premise this by saying I think there's a huge amount of talent in this young man. And I agree that the system and the coaching isn't helping. But this guy at the weekend put in another absolutely dog breath performance. Didn't create, gave the ball away 23 times in a deeper role, didn't win a single ground duel, barely won a tackle, out of position at times, absolutely horrendous. Do Chelsea fans have to start looking at some of their players in these conversations, as well as the rightful criticism of their manager?
Yeah, of course they do. They have to look at everything. This is their club is just an absolute mess. Like everything you have to look at. The owners, the board, the manager, the players, they all deserve criticism. And you know, big up a cash, by the way, for the 20 memberships, man. What goal? You know, you have to look at the at the end of the day, it's top down, right? So you have to look at the board, you have to look at the owners, and they're in my opinion to blame for this situation. But to at the same time, they're not on the football pitch playing football, and they're not making the tactical decisions. So yes, blame them and criticize them 100%. This is all their fault. But then you do have to you blame other people, and you know you have to blame Pochettino as well. But then you look at the players, and you're absolutely spot on with Enzo. Listen, for me, when I'm watching Enzo, I watch him. And by the way, I watched him at River Plate because City was linked with him, and we was linked with Alvarez at the time. So I watched him at River Plate, and I've seen him. I actually watched him for Argentina as well. And when I watch him in this Chelsea side, I don't know whether it's him or whether it's Pochettino, but I don't really fully get exactly what he's meant to be doing on the football pitch. Right. So when I'm going to come back to my team, right, because it's easier to do it for my team, and Dan could do it for his. But like when I look at my midfielders, I know what they're there to do. I know what Rodri's job is. I know what even Kovacic's. I know what his job is. I know what Foden's job is. Kevin De Bruyne's. When I watch Enzo, like one game, like when I watched against Sheffield United, he was dropping really, really deep and just smacking the ball forward like a quarterback. Then sometimes I've seen him a little bit more pushed up. Now, again, that might be due to Poch giving him different roles and stuff, but I'm not fully getting what he's meant to be doing. Doesn't score. Yeah, he doesn't get any assists. He's got 5 assists, yeah, in his Chelsea career. He's played 60 games. So he got five assists in 60. He's got 7 goals in 60 games. So he's not a goal scorer in this team. He's not an assister in this team. He's not a Kante or a Rodri or a Makelele, a destroyer at the back. You know what I mean? So what is he? Is he just a pauser merchant? Is this guy just a Kovacic, someone who just keeps the ball and knocks it around? Like, what is he actually supposed to be doing? Now, yes, again, you got to look at, for me, the manager and what is he asking Enzo to do? But you know, Enzo for me has to be giving more. He has to be giving more. But I just feel that, like, at the end of the day, this manager is just unable to get the best out of these players. And Enzo Fernandez, I'm pretty confident that if you stuck Enzo in the City team, in the Arsenal team, or the Liverpool team, you would see just a 10x uplift in performance from this guy. Because I do think, like you said, Terry, I do think there's a player in there. But I think this manager is just fundamentally unable to get anything out of him. And I think, first of all, just pick a position and tell him what to do, rather than try to tell him to do everything else. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Listen, he's got to be doing more, but then it comes back to the manager. It's just a mess, man. That club is just shambolic. It really, really
I actually
is.
really want to see these players away from Poch, because apparently it's all Poch. So as soon as we get another manager in, they're all going to be top 4, fighting with City and Arsenal. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Let me tell you that. Poch can go if he wants to. Doesn't bother me. I think he's overrated, and we've had that discussion before. These players are nowhere near the level of what some of the Chelsea fans believe they are. Now, it's not all the Chelsea fans, right? Because some of the fan base, you speak to people like Johnny Minerals, you speak to Goonie, you speak to Eunice, even Matisse. Some of them, fair play. But Don is one of them, and there's not the only one. There's a few others, right? And I love Don. But I've said to him so many times that he overrates some of his players. And this season, these performances from this guy, and from Caicedo, by the way, who he thinks has been a 7 to 7.5 out of 10 this season.
Yeah.
They've both been absolutely shocking, in my opinion.
But Enzo was in the World Cup team, though.
Yeah, facts. So
you can't tell me there's not a player. There's definitely got to be a player.
100%. Listen, there's a player in there for sure. But I don't feel like they perhaps was £115 worth of player, and now we're looking at that. What's this £115 player going to be like? Because you might laugh at this, but if you was to swap his performances with somebody like Scott McTominay, I wouldn't be sat in there going, wow, that looks much different from what I've seen at Chelsea. This guy looks just average, bang average.
And this is the thing. I understand there are elements that go wrong that are on coaching. I get that, because I use that same logic against my own players. But if you take an example, Scott McTominay is average in a good system or a bad system. He would be, as Enzo would, he would be better in a well-constructed, well-drilled team, Scott McTominay, in terms of, I don't think he'd make as many mistakes. His positioning would be better. His quality on the board remain the same. Mainu's also suffering at Man United because of this ridiculously weird system that we have, the way we empty the midfield when we're pressing. But he's still in the game, having lots of moments of brilliance because he is still a brilliant football player. That's the element for me where I look at Enzo and go, where are those moments from you? Because even when you start breaking down these numbers, there are some things that are good. I mean, got good long ball passing accuracy of nearly 70%. He's passing accuracies in the high 90s, but he's a relatively low chance creator, but also gives the ball away a lot. But then when you look at someone like Declan Rice, you look at someone like Mainu's, they create a lot less chances. Well, Mainu creates half the amount of chances that Enzo does because he's typically a lot deeper. But Declan Rice creates the same amount of chances, but gives the ball away 6 to 7 times less per game. But then both Mainu, both Declan Rice win far more aerial duels, far more ground duels, get taken on less, and have had less errors leading to opportunities. So I look at Enzo and go, you're giving the ball away a lot. You're not that great defensively. You're not creating the chances. You're not scoring lots of goals. Where are those moments of brilliance from you? And the reason that I say that Chelsea fans have got to have these conversations is of what I've been through in the last 10 years when my club was struggling, is that we've gone through processes where get rid of the manager and we'll be okay. We never were going to be. Oh, we could just get a good footballing director, we'll be okay. We're not going to be. Oh, if we get rid of these 3 or 4 players and buy 3 or 4 new ones, we're going to be okay. It was always about a combination of those things and actually having the right football decision makers looking at everything. And I think as football fans, we become really polarized or really hyper-focused on 1, maybe 2 problems instead of looking at the wider issues. People do it to me now, Ten Hag? Wow, Terry, you want Ten Hag out. Why are you saying it's any different? But I don't want Ten Hag out in isolation. I want every fucker out, including the vast majority of this squad, because they're not good enough. And I use Enzo as an example where I think Chelsea fans, listen, you might get a better manager, you might buy some more experience, you might cook, you might go on to have a brilliant career at Chelsea. But I don't think when they put their hand on their heart, when they're alone at night, laying in bed, all quiet and dark, I think Chelsea fans have got big red flags going off in their head about this man. £105 million. When give me one £105 million performance against a decent or a top level team. I can't off the top. Chelsea fans might remember, so tell us them, because I'd love to know what they were. You've seen a young man in Mainu. You've seen what Declan Rice has done. By the way, Declan Rice is putting in top class performances in mid-table West Ham teams. So let's not act like if you're that great a player, you must be able to do it still at the right in moments, at least.
That's my point, is against Sheffield United, when Sheffield United are having more shots against you and your team is worth £1 billion, it isn't just the manager. You need to look at the players and go, right, this manager we don't believe is the best for us right now. What are we going to do about it as a team? Because if you're telling me that they can't get more shots against Sheffield United and beat Sheffield United, a team that we put 11 goals past in 2 games, that Newcastle put 8 goals past in 1 game, if you're telling me that is all on Poch, the players can't sit there and go, look, we're better than them on the pitch. We're talented boys. Let's just do what we can to get the job done. Are they talented boys? Because I'm not seeing a £200 million midfield at Chelsea. I'm not seeing a centre forward. I'm not seeing a winger that's 90 million. I'm not seeing a centre half pairing. That Disasi was ridiculous amount of money. He looks a disaster. You got Badiashile, I was told, was like the Saliba level or the Wesley Fofana to come through next. That guy's been a shambles. They've got a left back and right back. They've only got that Gusto and Palmer that you can actually sit there and go, you two look ballers. The rest of them,
that's just the thing. They're putting in good performances in a bad team.
Facts. That's not Poch, though, is it? So does Poch get the credit for that? Palmer and Gusto, it must be Poch. These are reason them two are doing good.
Yeah.
No, it's not. The players just ain't that good.
Wait, let's look how good City are. But Nunes ain't.
There you go.
Jack Grealish ain't. They're not good.
Well, Jack Grealish, I'm not. You did that on purpose, bro. This guy's a wind-up merchant, man.
I am. Yeah, I told you, mate. Told you we won the league on Sunday, bruv. I'm shameless today. I'm having a bubble. Enzo only good with arguing with ex-teammates.
And he's on an 8-year contract as well, isn't he? Someone just reminded me in the chat. He's on an 8-year deal. How much is he on a week? Is he on dough?
He must be. Let's have a little look.
Please don't tell me it's more than like 200, 250, man, because that is shocking if he's on more than that.
I don't know if it's that high. Salary, no, 180,000.
Right, it's still not great, but I suppose at least it's not like ridiculous numbers. It's still ridiculous.
Like, if this was Arsenal or Man United or City, Liverpool, any others, why is it with Chelsea? Everyone's just let's not talk about Chelsea anymore. We're bored of our rubbish.
You know why I think it might be that?
How bad they've been. I love it.
You know why it is?
Let's keep talking about it.
I think it's because people are now just accepting that Chelsea are a mid-table club.
They're finished. Yeah.
I genuinely do, because like last year everyone always like was speaking about Chelsea. It's like, oh my God, can you believe how bad Chelsea are this year? But like now it's the second year. So are people not just turning around now saying, is this actually maybe just what Chelsea are now?
Yeah.
Are you right?
Well,
are the players just rubbish and they're just a mid-table club? Like maybe this is just what Chelsea are now, and like until they actually start making better decisions, like this is just what's going to happen. But here's the thing: you mentioned a minute ago, Potsy, about all the players that they've signed. They fundamentally overpaid for all the players. Like Caicedo was so overrated and so overhyped at the time. 115 for him was an absolute disgrace. It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
Like, why pay that? What? Because you think he's going to turn out to be some, next level CDM in the coming year? Football doesn't work like this. We spoke about this before. If this is how football worked, Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep, all these great managers, they would never have signed a player over 25. Sir Alex Ferguson would never have signed Robin van Persie if that was the case, because he would have gone, no, let's not do that. Let's sign some guy from 18-year-old from France. You've got to buy proper good footballers. And the fact is, we're still sitting here, 18 months into this project of Chelsea's, and they've still not got a proper striker. And they are lucky that they've stumbled on this Petrovic, who seems to be half decent, but that's a complete and utter fluke as well.
Look, when Man United signed the Yap Stam in 99, when we signed the White York in 99, and I want to make sure I get the White York's age right. I know for a fact that Yap Stam was 26 years of age. The White York, it was 27. So it's 26 turning 27. And that's the whole thing. In the year that we had our greatest season ever, we were signing 26 and 27-year-olds as our main players. And that does need to be looked at. And ain't football a funny thing? This time last year, the world was going crazy over Enzo. They were going crazy over Lavia. They were going crazy over Caicedo. And whether it's based on injury, which availability is the best ability, poor, inconsistent performances, or just being completely meek, because I think Caicedo's had a very, very average season as well. The amount of mistakes he's made that led to goals as well is crazy. You add it all together. I said in the summer, the amount of money they were all costing, there's part of me that was jealous. And then people said, would you like to come in for Lavia now? I said, no, I've got young Manu coming through, slightly different position, but I just trust that more. Just looking at him, I don't want to spend 80 million there. It made more sense to stick with him. And it's mad how you look at things a year later sometimes and go, wow, I'm glad we weren't involved in those races, but they've gone and signed all three of them. And I'm not saying a new manager can't get improvements out of these players, but I listened to something that Omar Barada said whilst he was working at City. This is a City standard. I've seen a lot of United people say this was the same at Old Trafford. And I'm sure most big clubs and great clubs will tell you that they had this mantra that players get 18 months to 2 years, managers 18 months to 2 years. People get up to about 2 years to prove they're good enough. And if they're not, they have to go. The problem you have, if that is the sort of the general amount of time that a club allows a player to shine, they might become a fringe player after that. But if they get 2 years to become that star in the first team, and that's how most top-level clubs operate, what do you do to some of these players on 8-year deals if after 2 years they're not improving? What if you get rid of Poch and they're still not better? What then do you do? That's what I'm hoping. You can't let it go on 3 or 4 years, because then you've got 4 years remaining and no one's going to buy him. You actually have to sell him sooner rather than later, when there's still a bit of hype about them. So, look, Chelsea have got a lot of soul searching to do this summer. There's no doubt. And look, my club do as well. I'm just saying that my club's doing something different now. I'm intrigued to see how it's going to go. I'm not even happy with all the things they're doing, but I've got to almost wait for the football decisions to be made before I actually judge them, because we have no idea. But it's the way Chelsea, the expression, I want to say this was Shakespeare, but I could get this wrong. Like, one doth protest too much, methinks. The way I see them jump into defend Enzo like wild dogs tells me, they know. They're a little fearful there. But maybe I'm wrong. Let us know in the comment section, people, what you think. We had some super chats come in here. Says, you do know you didn't win, T-Dog, on Sunday. Yes, we did win. We did win. It was a 2-2 draw. And Man United have put a serious dent in Klopp's leaving party, and I'm happy about that. So I am. Enzo reminds me of the Nielsen who played for Arsenal. Oh, do you remember the Nielsen?
Yeah, mate, terrible if that's the case. If he's like
this is the vibes I'm getting. The way Arsenal fans used to defend that man and rave about him reminds me about what they're doing with Enzo. Sometimes let it go. You're doing too much.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, Don did it the other day with Cole Palmer. He reckons that people just go to Chelsea to queue up just to watch Cole Palmer play. I'm not there to watch Chelsea anymore. I don't know what's going on. This is all I've got. It's crazy. Man. He backtracked a little bit on Sunday by he's the most entertaining reason to go. I can buy that, but I don't believe any Chelsea fan wakes up on a Saturday morning and says, right, I'm off to the bridge. Well, where are you going? Who are you playing today? I don't care. I'm going to watch Palmer. I don't think any Chelsea fan has said that. I don't.
That's class. I love Don.
I love him. Do you know what I love about Don? He loves his club, and I like a fan who's passionate and just speaks their mind about their club. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. I have a feeling Arsenal win the double, is what Kula says here.
I pray with all my heart and might, Kula. I really do. I can't see it, but I'd love it.
Well, it's a big game tonight. How do you see tonight going, mate?
Closer than people think. Closer than people think. I'm seeing a lot of the show last night with judges. And what do you reckon the score will be, guys? Let us know in the chat. 4-0, 4-1, 5-0, 3-1, 3-0. Don't do that. Don't do that. I hope they're right, and I hope that I'm wrong. But I think it'll be a lot tighter than that. I think it'll be a lot tighter than that. I really do. And I feel like they're going to try to shut up shop and make it difficult for us. This is going to be very hostile for them tonight, Bayern Munich, because obviously they've got no away fans. They come to the Emirates. We're going to make it as loud as we can. It's one of the first times we've been here for a very, very, very long time. I don't see this being an absolute whitewash or thrashing. Have Arsenal got the potential to hurt Bayern Munich is the question. Yes, they have. And if we turn it on the way that we have, it could be a really, really good night. Judges is believing it's going to be. A few of my Arsenal mates think it's going to be. But I see a tight 1-0 to the Arsenal tonight, Terry. I don't see this being I think this would be quite an old school. I think they're going to do all they can to try and shut up shop so that they know they can take us to the Allianz knowing that they've got a good chance of going through. And they know that if they do allow Arsenal to blitz them and it be 2 or 3-0, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. So I don't know. I just feel like it will be a tighter game than people are giving credit for. I think people have got this in their mind that because Bayern Munich have been blitzed by Bayern Leverkusen this season, that now they can go no further in this Champions League. I look at it slightly different. They have literally got this competition or their season is done. That is not good for Arsenal because they're going to put all they can into these 2 legs. So, yeah, that's the way I see it. I don't know where you boys are at with it. I mean, Arsenal playing well at the moment. So, of course, we're going into these favourites tonight to win. But I don't see this being a 3 or 4-0 game.
I don't think it'll be 3 or 4-0, but I think you'll win the game. I think Bayern are poor. I think Bayern are really, really poor. I've watched them a lot this year, Dan, and they're miles off it. This is the first time they've even managed to get to the quarterfinals in for 4 years. 4 years they've not even made it to this stage. Something's just not right at the club when it comes to where they're playing in Champions League. They've been poor this year. People keep on saying, "Oh yeah, but Are they really that poor? Because Bayer Leverkusen are unbeaten. This is their worst league performance since 2011, I believe. So, they are poor. They're a poor team. Their defense is all over the shop. Neuer looks finished to me. Their midfield is miles off the pace. They have a bagsman up top, I'll give you that. But I honestly feel that the way you're playing at the moment, I'm not going to sit here and mad disrespect Bayern, but I reckon 2-0 could easily be on the cards. And then all you need to do is go to the Allianz in the second leg, park the bus like you did at Etihad, and you're into the semi-final, bro. Like,
that's not crazy.
No, it's not a crazy prediction. I genuinely think that tonight, get the job done. I've been a 180. When this draw was done, I thought, this is difficult. Going to the Allianz Arena second. Completely changed my mind. I think actually you should embrace playing at the Emirates first. Get the job done tonight, 2-0. Go to the Allianz, park the bus, you're in the semi-final. I honestly think that they're not good, bro. And as well, I feel like people don't fully appreciate just how good Arsenal are. Arsenal right now are probably the best defensive team in Europe.
Yeah.
Right? So you can talk about Harry Kane, but, Gabriel Saliba there cooking. Ryan's doing really well. You got Rice sitting in front. I put a little bit of respect on Arsenal's name. You know what I mean? I think tonight, I think your defense will probably do their job. It's whether or not your attackers do theirs. Will Saka step up? Will Havertz step up? Will Odegaard step up? Because these are the players that need to win you the game. I think if you go to the Allianz losing tonight, I think you're out. But I don't think you will lose tonight. I think you'll win. Well, unless you bottle it, unless the lack of experience. I don't know what it is. Over a decade since you guys have been in like this stage of the Champions League. Maybe you could bottle it. I'm a bit nervous and that, but I don't see it, man. I honestly don't see it. I think 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, I think to win, I get where you're coming from. They've been awful this year by their standards, Bayern Munich, but they have still got some quality players, and it's knockout football, so it's different gravy. Will Arsenal succumb to pressures of the past, etc.? All those questions are there. I think if Arsenal win by 2 goals or more tonight, I think they're through. I think they'll be through because Bayern will then have to open up and really attack, and you'll be able to counter them. You're so hard to break down anyway. They struggled for large parts against Lazio, and I think Arsenal were a much better team than Lazio. And what we know about Arsenal is they can play different ways, and they can do it impeccably well, and I think that's going to serve you right. I'm intrigued if you get through this round to see what that does for Arsenal's confidence, because then it's a case of, well, you've gotten the better of City in the Premier League this year. You're knocking out one of the start of the season favourites and the team that I think over the last 3 or 4 fixtures, the score would be something like 15-3 to Bayern Munich. And I know that's a different Munich team and a different Arsenal team, but to kind of put those skeletons to rest, as it were, I think would be a really big thing. I think the fans play a big part tonight. There should be no Bayern Munich fans in there. Now, I have heard a little rumour today for a few people I follow on socials. There are Arsenal season ticket holders selling their tickets to Bayern Munich fans for ridiculous money, so they're in the stadium. Now, I don't know how much noise they're going to make, because if that's true, they're going to be spread about, and you probably won't want to stand up with a German accent cheering for Bayern Munich if they score a goal any stadium across the UK, and vice versa. So Arsenal fans, you've got to make noise, you've got to keep cheering, even if there's moments of adversity, because essentially 65,000 fans to 0. You should absolutely drown these players. And I think it's a night where even if you're 2-0 up, I think you've got to go for the 3rd and the 4th and try and kill it off. Arsenal have the capabilities of putting 3 or 4 goals past this Bayern Munich team, but I agree it's going to be very, very difficult to do it if you don't get the mentality bit right. And that's the only area that I worry about tonight for Arsenal is, do they know it's a Champions League knockout game. Is there the confidence to play with chess and to play with the freedom they need? If they do that and the crowd is up the whole time, I think they'll win by at least 2 clear goals. If not, maybe even a little bit more. And if they have that going away to Germany, I think they go through. If you draw, win by 1 goal, or heaven forbid lose, I don't think that may not end up being enough in the end. But it's going to be a very exciting game tonight. And if that crowd is as loud as I think it's going to be, I think Bayern Munich are in for a terrible night.
The only thing I'd say as well, Terry, is like Arsenal need to be clinical. They're not going to get a massive amount of chances. And even though they won 3-0 at Brighton, Potsy will agree with me that they were very wasteful in front of goal, Arsenal. I mean, they probably should have been about 5-0 up by half-time against Brighton. You know what I mean? In the end, they get the first goal because of the penalty. You think to yourself, well, hang on a minute. If they didn't get that penalty, You know what I mean? Where's the goal coming from? Because they was missing chances left, right, and centre. You know what I mean? So they're not going to get that many chances tonight. When they do get the chances, they've got to make sure they bury those opportunities. Right. Because you're not going to get as many opportunities as you did against Brighton at the weekend, lads. You know what I mean? As bad as I think Bayern Munich are this year, they're still a good team that needs to be respected. You know what I mean? So you're going to get some opportunities. I've got no doubt about that. And this is what I said earlier. For me, I think your defence will do their job. Yeah, you can still concede a goal. You know, we've played against a good team here, but I think your defence will do its job and you're not going to concede 2-3 goals. I would be very surprised. You are going to get a few opportunities, not a massive amount. When you get those opportunities, you've got a bag. Saka the other day, you know what I mean, 7 or 8 yards out on his left foot, puts it wide. Gabriel, free header in the first minute of the game, needs to bag, puts it wide. Jesus. You know, you're not going to get away with this in the Champions League. You'll get the opportunities, I've no doubt. Got to put them away.
The reason we've got to do that in this leg is because I believe at the Allianz, it's going to be difficult to really go at them. Yeah, because it's a completely different game, different fixture, stuff like that. So we've got to give it a go tonight. We've got to go all out tonight for me. And I wanted to ask you, LB, because we're in a position right now with Jesus and Zinchenko where they're not actually getting into our first team. And they're not wanted to get into our first team by a lot. There's a lot of people saying Kai Havertz can't be dropped. They want Martinelli and Saka on the wings, not Jesus. Zinchenko is now fourth choice behind Timber when he's fit, Tomiyasu and Kivior. We're kind of in 1 year of signing Zinchenko and Jesus. I'm in the same position as they were at Man City, where they're now squad players and not first teamers. And I wanted to ask you if you saw that coming or if that's just what they are.
Of course I saw it coming, man. I told Arsenal fans when they signed him, Jesus ain't a striker, as a winger. I remember doing a show with Don Robbie, and he was like, oh yeah, and I said Alvarez is a better striker than Jesus. He couldn't believe what I was saying. Jesus, I'm telling you, from my time watching Jesus at City, his best position was on the wing. He's a press merchant. Yeah, he can score. He's got a bit of a better angle when he's cutting in off the wing. If he's playing on the right, he can just whip across him with his right foot. If he's on the left, he can cut in on his right, better angle to shoot at. He's got the work rate to run the channels. He works really hard defensively. And he's not the greatest finisher in the world. So when you do put him up front, he'll miss chances. So, you know, it's no surprise to me that Arsenal are now in this situation where they're a really good team going for Champions League and Premier League. You're all thinking to yourself, we need a goal scorer. Well, he's not. He wasn't ever a goal scorer. Zinchenko's different in the sense that, like, clearly, you know, obviously Pep done it last year, playing the 4 centre-backs at fullback. I think that is something that obviously Arteta's now doing with Kivior. You know, you just want, you know, if you've got a good midfield, yeah, which Arsenal now have, and a good front three, do you really need? Are we? I think the days are gone where you need a flying fullback. Do you really need a flying fullback? Not really. If you've got Odegaard, Havertz, Rice, Jorginho, Saka, Martinelli, you don't need that extra player. So you go, you know what we'll do? We'll play Kivior and just be really, really, really solid defensively. And that's what you've done. So
for me, I am actually kind of pretty much finished with Zinchenko now. Like, a lot of people love him and think he's the absolutely pivotal to the way that we play football. For me, I like him on the ball, but I cannot watch this guy try to defend anymore. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Against Brighton at the weekend, I was there, and I'm looking at him thinking, why are they going down the right-hand side the whole time? Go down Ben White's side, boom, a wall, no chance. Gabriel Saliba next year, no chance. This guy is the weak link, which is why I would be playing Tomiyasu or Kivior tonight. I would not be playing Zinchenko. I'll be making sure that we've got that covered, because for me, I think Kivior has been very impressive when he's not been told to invert, obviously, and Ben White has. And Tomiyasu has always been a very good one-on-one defender and good aerially because he's got like the physique for it and he's got the height for it. For Zinchenko, if he wants to be kept in the squad and be a good on-the-ball player, that's fine. But trying to watch this guy defend now is just actually quite embarrassing. It's cringy, painful.
Do you know what I find so interesting is the evolution of fan bases in the sense of when your team's struggling and not doing very well, player debates are all the rage. Who should start? You know, Tomiyasu or Zinchenko, etc. But because you guys are doing well, top of the league, I've seen this conversation come up. But most Arsenal fans are just like, yeah, they came in, did well last year, they've had moments this year, but people are playing better than them. We're doing well. There's almost like zero debate about it in terms of no one's really annoyed, if that makes sense. Where if you guys were sitting 7th and chopping and changing your team, it would be, it's because this person's been moved out of position. It's because he's there, because that person's over there. I find it so interesting watching successful teams. I remember having this conversation about 2 years ago. Successful teams, fan bases don't really have those player debates in the same way teams that are struggling do, because it's kind of all you've got. And that's how like player FCs would get created. Again, player FCs, I don't really see existing at successful teams per se. It's predominantly at teams that are struggling. But I do believe they've both become squad players now. And although Fabrizio's come out today and said, oh, no, Arsenal, no plans to let Jesus go, I don't believe that's true. I believe Arsenal are going to quote that to Fabrizio because they want to raise the potential sale value. But if someone comes in and offers you 40, 50 million pounds for Gabriel Jesus now, and you could invest that money towards a new prolific number 9 or someone new, young, fresh, less injury prone that can cover the left or the right wings, you may be better off doing it. Zinchenko as well. I think that Tomiyasu's ahead of him when fit. I think Kivior's shown himself to be very capable. Plus, there are other young left backs in the world that you could maybe look at. I don't think Zinchenko will go this summer. I still think Zinchenko will be here next year. But that's just the evolution of football. And it's so interesting to look at Arsenal fans become fans of Arsenal again, rather than fans of players. And again, only struggling clubs focus on players per se, rather than the actual football club. Because growing up as a kid, I hated it when Beckham left. He was my favorite player. I was over it the next day, and we signed Ronaldo, and I was buzzing, and I didn't care about Beckham anymore. But I reckon that, when your team's struggling, if we were struggling in that era, but we had Beckham, Man United fans would probably still be talking about it now that we sold him, if that makes sense. But yeah, I do think they become fringes. Boys, other game tonight, City take on Real Madrid away at the Santiago Bernabeu. What are you saying, Lewis? How are you feeling about it?
To be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. Honestly, I have no idea what's about to happen. You see the Real Madrid, like they're stressed, man. Real Madrid are stressed. Like they want all the fans to turn up in white clothes. They're requested to shut the roof to improve the atmosphere. It's going to be a record attendance. They've never sold as many tickets as they have done tonight. They are stressed. They know that they got to win tonight. They got to get a result, because City typically don't lose at the Etihad. We've got a great result. We've got a great record at the Etihad. Not lost there since December 2022. Our record there in the Champions League is phenomenal. We absolutely ruined them last year, and they will know that they've got to get the job done. So for City, it's probably the complete opposite to Arsenal tonight. We need to go there, and if we can get out there with a 0-0, I'll be absolutely over the moon with that. Take it back to the Etihad, one game at home, try and beat them on our own patch. But listen, it's going to be strange. I don't know what's happening with our defence. Rumours are that young Rico Lewis is going to have to start, which he's done fantastic. But if he comes up against Vinny Jr., that could be an interesting game. Midfield, what's he going to do there? Is he going to play De Bruyne? Is he going to play Foden? Is he going to play both? Is Foden going to be on the wing? Is Grealish going to play? Is he going to drop Bernardo, Kovacic? There's so many questions that we just don't know. And, Real Madrid, they are a very, very good team. And this is going to be a fundamentally different game to last year. Yeah, because last year they really, I know they was kind of forced into it because of the injuries, but playing Kroos and Modric in the midfield last year killed Real Madrid because they just didn't have the legs. This year they're going to play Camavinga there. So they'll have much more sort of legs in there. They're also going to have Jude Bellingham there instead of Benzema, more legs again. They're going to have Rodrigo, who's cooking, Vinny, unbelievable. So let's see what happens, man. But honestly, I literally have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to win. I don't know if we're going to lose. I just don't know. So I think it's really hard to call.
I don't think that Real Madrid will be stressed. I think that's a strange word to use.
Oh, so you don't say they're stressed? Did you not see Rodrigo on his Instagram last night begging the fans to turn up and make noise? They've requested.
That's just them getting up for the moment, LB. It's a massive game of football. That's not them stressing. They've won it 14 times, bro. They're a side that have won it 14 times.
They're stressed, bro.
Real Madrid are not stressed tonight. Real Madrid.
They went to UEFA, bro. They went to the UEFA and said, "Please, UEFA, please, can we shut the roof? Because if we shut the roof,
they've accepted it.
Yeah, I know they've accepted it, bro.
81,000 people, roof shut.
A few decibels louder, and that might help us.
They will know what this game means. They're not going to be stressed out. I listen. LV started. If you notice this, LV started by going, they're really stressed tonight at Real Madrid. But we've got Rico Lewis against Vinny Jr.
I'm stressed.
You look stressed, bruv. You look real stressed.
I'm stressed.
I think it'll be a quality game. It's actually a shame, by the way, that these games are all at the same time. Who the hell has decided to do this, by the way? That no, you can't actually watch the games. You've got to pick one and then keep flipping over. What a joke. Anyway, this is going to be a really good game. I think Real Madrid are going to be very difficult to beat. And I think Manchester City are going to be very difficult to beat at the Etihad. So this one is going to go. Yeah, this is going to be the best tie. Everybody knows it's going to be the best one.
Yeah,
and I don't know what I want, really. I don't know what I want because obviously we've got to do our job first of all. If we do our job and we get one of these, who the hell do I want? I'm probably going to go Man City because they haven't won it 14 times and this team have. But listen, we've proven we can beat Man City over 2 legs this season, potentially. I don't think we have against Real Madrid. So it's going to be really, really exciting, man.
Now, tonight's game, I can't wait, as you say. So 81,000 rather than the 63,000 that were there last year. So nearly 20,000 more Madrid fans in the house, roof closed, more energy in that midfield. City looking slightly more vulnerable when they were last year. I'm buzzing. Like, in fairness, they should have beaten them last year. City's goal shouldn't have stood. The ball was out for a throw-in. They didn't pick up on it, VAR or nothing. And the great goal from KDB, I remember it very, very well. But Real Madrid should have gone on to won that game by a few more. And I think they regretted that because then they got absolutely battered in the second leg. But yeah, I want Madrid through. I want Madrid through because I just need this, any talk, any conversation about this double treble to go away, and a nice 5-0 win for Madrid tonight. Would make me feel better. Now, it won't be like that, but I'm going to go for a Madrid win. I'm going to go Madrid 2, City 0. 0 goals, 2-0, and Jude Bellingham to get in the winner. He's getting the second goal.
I'm going to go 1-1, man.
I'll be very happy with the 1-1. If you're telling me we can basically make it 1-1, because obviously with the elimination of away goals, which I think is a terrible thing.
I agree.
Everyone disagrees. Well, yeah, most people disagree when it normally.
I don't agree. I think it's a great thing.
Well, it is a terrible thing for the actual sport because it means teams just go away from home now and just park the bus. Whereas,
but then people used to park the bus at home. That was why it was crap away goals.
But they didn't know really, did they? I don't think that ever truly happened.
They should bring it back and just allow 1 goal to count for 2. They should put it on the screen. So you score 1 goal away from it. So you don't go 1-0 up away from it, you go 2-0 up. Psychologically, you see it. Does that make sense?
Messed up. Yeah.
It'd be hard, right? Because it'd be 4-0 up with 2 goal scorers. It wouldn't make any sense. But you win 2-0, it says 4-0 on the screen. That'd be a laugh. But I just ruined football there. Sorry, LB. Back to you, mate.
No, just get me back at the Etihad with a draw, and I'll be very happy with that.
I think City will go through. I do think City. I think Man City will win this game.
We just need to keep it tight tonight, man. We need to go there, just tighten up our game a little bit because we have been not great defensively. People using the Aston Villa games and Palace games as examples. We're going to play a completely different way tonight than what we're playing in the Premier League. So go there. Wouldn't surprise me if Kovacic started in the middle or Bernardo alongside probably Kev. Just keep it tight. Try and get out there with a draw. And then do them at the Etihad. It's just the reverse of Arsenal, really, isn't it? That's essentially what we're doing here. But Real Madrid know they've got to win tonight. They know they don't. And also, I don't know if you guys have seen. Real Madrid have got 4 players all on a booking. You see that? Vinny Jr.
Wow.
Yeah. Vinny Jr. Bellingham. Chat, help me out here. Who else is it? Camavinga, I think it might be. And there's one other player as well, where if they get booked, they miss the second leg. Whereas City have only got Ruben Diaz.
Oh,
so that's quite big, especially Bellingham. Bellingham likes to get stuck in.
Yeah. Man City recap here says, "Oh, so Terry, you remember that, but never remember nothing else, right? To be honest, I swear this has nothing to do with the treble or 4P. You just hate Man City." No, it has everything to do with you doing a 4P or back-to-back trebles, my friend.
You also hate Man City, though.
I don't like Man City. You're a rival of my club. But if you weren't... See, this will offend you as well. If City hadn't been winning anything and it was Arsenal that were on to do back-to-back Premier Leagues, I'd want you to win it because I wouldn't want Arsenal like a bigger Premier League rival to me. So, but it's not about City hate. Yes, I don't want you to achieve things that my club hasn't done. I don't understand... what's inconceivable about that? I don't mind the pundits, by the way, that turn around and say don't want Arsenal to win, but it's the lies they come out with. Like when Simon Jordan says, yeah, well, why are we gassing Arsenal for getting better? They spent 250 million. They should be getting better. That stuff's crazy to me. Like, that's so different from someone saying, I don't like Man City. They're a big rival of mine, and I don't want them to get 4P. How are you... I don't get it. Maybe it's my brain that's not working.
No, I had to
today.
stop him doing a 4-peat, Terry. Beat him in the FA Cup final, mate. That's what you need to do.
It's too much. Yeah, but I know we're not good enough. I need other people to help us for that. Like we're good enough to stop Liverpool doing the lesser quad or whatever it is. But there we go. Some super chats here. This one says City goal was legit. The ball went out, but Madrid regained possession just before City scored. Yeah.
That's true.
No,
they did have possession of the ball.
You did. But if that goal happens tonight and you concede, City fans are going to complain. So,
oh yeah, of course I will.
100%. Arsenal should bin 35 and 9 this summer.
Zinchenko and Jesus. That is.
Won't be mentioning any Arsenal players' names at this rate. We'll just be doing numbers of the whole squad.
Yeah, man.
I did tweet that when Kai scored the other day. I just tweeted 29.
I don't think either of them will be sold though. I think Arteta will keep them both in the squad at least, and we'll upgrade on those.
I did have this thought about Kai Havertz yesterday. I was sitting there, could you imagine if he scored the winning goal in the Champions League final? The people that didn't rate him, didn't want him, and are still not like saying, I don't give a shit what he does, he's still a prick. I just wonder what they would do or say in that scenario. Like genuinely, like, because how could you not be happy?
Oh man,
How could you not? I think anyone who scores a winning Champions League goal for a team to win them their first, there's a legendary status that comes with that goes beyond your technical ability. I was just thinking about, like, again, I'm not an Arsenal fan. I don't really want you to win the Champions League, but there's a part of me that would just want to see the fallout from that and what's said and what's done. I just would enjoy watching it as a spectacle. Arsenal have the best defense without being defensive.
I think that is what, if we win anything this season, people will look at. They'll look at Gabriel Saliba and Rice. They'll look at Ben White. They won't look for the first time at the likes of Odegaard and Saka and Martinelli and Jesus, etc. Although they've been a massive part of it as well as a team, defensively we've been outstanding. And I think that, you know, whether it's against Luton, whether it's against Manchester City, or whether it's in Europe, that's been factually true. So I just hope
concede 4 goals against Luton or 3 goals against Luton.
What was it? 4-3. That was probably the only game that I can say that we've conceded where we've been disappointed by it.
Sorry, bro, I had to do that.
Oh, you're trolling. Okay. I thought you were being serious in a second.
I had to do that.
Thank you, Texas, for your comment. I still have nightmares of Real Madrid versus City in 2001.
Yeah, that's why they're stressed. That's why Madrid are stressed. You see.
Yeah,
they're stressed, bro.
Stressed up.
Trust me.
It really depends on what Bayern Munich are coming here. If Bayern Munich try to attack a lot, then Arsenal destroy them. If they go defensive to keep the score at 2-0 stage, for the second,
that's what I think will happen in the latter. That's what I think.
I don't know enough about Bayern Munich, so that's why I'm asking this question. How will Bayern Munich fans take to their team being ultra defensive and negative? Surely that just doesn't strike me as a Bayern thing to do, unless I'm misreading them as a club.
I don't know.
Well, I think they've been in this competition enough to understand how the game works. You know what I mean?
True.
It's the same with Real Madrid. Real Madrid are doing the same thing tonight. Real Madrid are going out tonight to try and win the game because they don't want to have to come to the Etihad and win at the Etihad because they know it's going to be tricky. Bayern are just doing it in reverse. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I don't think Bayern are going to go to Emirates tonight, and park the bus. That's not going to happen. But they're not going to try and go out there and win the tie in the first leg, especially because what's the point? You're not in the league anyway. The league's done. So it's not like you need to try and get the game won tonight to save yourself.
Good point. If Mikel Arteta managed the likes of Porto, we are brown bread. It's not 2-1 to the Arsenal.
So yeah, basically, if Arteta puts in the performance that he did against Porto,
right,
obviously we're not going to be doing too well. But he reckons it'll be 2-1 to the Arsenal because that won't happen. Let's hope so. Cliff, big up, Cliff, by the way.
Just got here. Excuse me if you've spoken about it already. What are you thinking about the terror threats on tonight's games?
Yeah, I saw something about this. There was something put in the groups. I don't know how. I've not read into it enough to know how serious this is, or is this just rumours, or where this has come from, man. I can't lie, but
they're going to ramp up the security, man.
That's what'll happen.
What my advice is, if you go into the game tonight at London, get there a bit earlier because I think
that's what I'll be doing. Yeah,
security checks, man.
Yeah. I'm sure they know. I'm sure they know what they're doing.
That's why I had to do this show earlier today, so I could go in. So I've got to go soon.
There we go.
Yes,
what goal was better, Bruno halfway line or Kobbie Mainoo?
Kobbie Mainoo, man. That was sick.
Yeah, but to be fair, because the ball's coming, it looks nicer, yeah. But the ball, that was a difficult strike for Bruno. The
Yeah, it
ball's
was.
coming across him. He's not took a touch. He's just banged it in first time. He's got one chance like to get it in. And listen, the Kobbie one's clearly the one that looks nicer. But I actually think the harder technique is Bruno.
The harder is Bruno for sure, but that just looks so nice. That Kobbie Manu go, man. That goal looks so sick.
Manu's goal I preferred because it was actually quite a well worked team goal, and all the channels that have shown replays have not shown the first 2 or 3 passes that have come out from the back from Man United into the middle, the overhead kick to Manu. The actual build up play was beautiful as well, so I do prefer that goal. But Bruno's strike, as much as it's a mistake from Kwanzaa to hit it first time over the goalie. Van Dijk made a mistake thinking, Bruno's going to run at me. So he thought he'd hit it. It was just picture perfect. And what would have been really interesting, though, is if the goalkeeper would have saved it, because he tried to. He was out of the box. He would have been sent off. Like, I was watching it thinking, we're too crap for me to probably think this, really. But I was like, maybe I would have preferred him to have saved it. Go down to 10 men, and then we could have beaten them, potentially. But knowing us, we wouldn't have done that. But no, I'd go with Kobbie's. I'd go with Kobbie's.
That Manu goal remind me of the... I've bloody forgotten his name now.
Paqueta.
That's the geezer, man.
Do you want to know how mad? Do you want to know how mad it is as well? This is like crazy. Both had the Betfred sponsor come up on the electronic sponsors at the same time. The movement of the sponsorships is the same thing. It's honestly that sort of stuff I love. I love that kind of. Man. Yeah, it was very similar. I actually think this one was better though because
it was better. This one
was a bit more space for Kiko back then, and it was a thing of beauty. I couldn't believe it when it went in.
The commentary on Maqueda's was better with Martin Tyler, where he just loses his voice. That was class.
Yeah, Maqueda. Yeah, that was crazy. That was come back to winning a title race. I'm the only season ticket Arsenal need when they will. Sorry, I'm the only striker. Sorry, Arsenal will need. They will buy me. Oh, that's from Victor.
Yeah, we're linked with this guy, man. We're linked heavily with this guy. I quite like. Yeah,
well, I'm sure Liverpool are going to be linked with him if they get Amorim, aren't they? That's the media do what the media do. Robert here, who's a Liverpool fan, says Arsenal were good but inexperienced. Liverpool have had their end of season blip. City due a blip. Only one outcome, but will the Champions League distract? How do you guys see the title race now after this weekend's fixtures?
Win 7 and it's ours, mate. Win 7 and it's ours. That's the way I see it.
Arsenal are in the driving seat. You know what I mean? It's in their hands now. You know what I mean? 7 games. Win those 7 games, they're champions. Yeah, because let's be honest, Liverpool are not like getting that goal difference up in 7 games. They're just not going to do it. Sheffield United was a great opportunity to do that, and they didn't take the best advantage there. So, but Arsenal have the hardest title run. Like factually, I just can't believe there are some people out there trying to tell me that Liverpool's run's harder. I mean, by every metric, Arsenal play harder sides than Liverpool. Like it is. I mean, they just do. Villa difficult, Chelsea. Chelsea's record against the top 6 is good. I know people are laughing in the chat, but Chelsea's record against the top 6 guys is actually pretty decent. Spurs away, and then United last game at Old Trafford this season. Like, come on, man, that is clearly the hardest run in there. City have got the easiest run in, but obviously are in the unfavourable position of it's not in our hands and we need teams to do us a favour. And Liverpool are just sort of like in the middle. Like it's not in their hands, but they've got probably the second easiest fixtures. It's mad poised, man. It's crazy. Like literally, it's anyone's title still. I think that City have got a really, really, really good chance of winning our remaining 7 games. I really do. I think our fixtures are seriously favourable. Seriously favourable. Obviously, Spurs away is going to be the big one for me. We've never scored a goal there in the Premier League, let alone drawn or anything. Like we did score this year in the FA Cup, but Premier League we never even scored a goal. Other than that, realistically, I'm expecting City to win all the games. And I know I get it. Caveat. No game is easy game. Get all that. But if we're being honest, City's fixtures are very favourable.
But you're the favourites still then, you'll be, yeah?
I think you're the favourites.
They're
You're the favourites. Well, I think that. I know, though, technically they're not. But for me, they're the favourites. There's 7 games left. They're top of the table. They've got a mad defence. Like,
so you think that I get why you would do it. They are top. But it's when you look at those games and their likelihood of winning all those games, it's much harder for Arsenal to win 7 on the bounce than it is for City or Liverpool. Would you agree?
I agree, but this Arsenal team is capable of doing that 100%.
They are.
And
They are.
and if we're going to be fair and say it's unlikely that Arsenal do win all 7, well, City have never scored a goal at Spurs. So like, if we're going to play that, we've got to say, well, City are unlikely to beat Spurs then because we've never scored a goal.
Let me tell you now, you are going to score more than 1 goal at that place. That team will roll over. Let me tell you this now. It will be easily 3, maybe more. Tottenham, oh yeah. Well, so we've got Champions League wrapped up. Yep. Okay, cool. What do you reckon then, boys? 2 or 3-0. Let's just lose so Arsenal can't win it. That is what will happen at Spurs. So don't not look at that fixture and think that's one's hard. That's your easiest one, right? Nobody tell me that is a hard game.
It's not the easiest.
That is the easiest one you've got because they will roll over for you because they will do everything they can to make sure we don't. Yeah? Like Man United did everything they could against Liverpool. Not that it was great because it was actually Liverpool should have been battered them, but they will try their best to roll over. That's not the game we were looking at. I think there are some that Man City might look at potentially banana skin, but I said I think you win 8 out of 8, and I'm not changing it. I think you'll now win 7 out of 7. It all depends on what Arsenal and Liverpool do, and I'm praying that you guys drop. You're praying that we drop. I don't know.
That's why I think City could still do this because even though Arsenal, like, you know, you've got a tricky road and you're a great team and realistically, like, you should be going on and winning those games now because you like the incentive and the energy that your players should have, like, should take you through those games. But like, I'm just thinking to myself, if you beat all these 7 teams, fair play, man, because that is solid. Like, I don't think any of your games are easy. Like, can I just quickly go through the games just real quick? Yeah, they got Villa this weekend. That could be tricky. Wolves away. That's a tricky place to play football. Yeah. Chelsea, their record's decent. Tottenham away. Bournemouth, who, by the way, are now flying. Man United, the final game at Old Trafford this season for United. And then Everton, who could be scrapping to stay in the division.
They had another 2 points deduction yesterday as well. That's why I don't care that Arsenal were top. Like, I just... they're not favourites. Now, if in the next round of the game, say City inexplicably lost this weekend, they won't, they're playing Luton, but it's just play devil's advocate, and Liverpool lost, and they went 4 and 3 points ahead of both of you, then the situation changes because there's an insurance policy there as an example, but it's just the run-in that Arsenal have versus the other two. City just don't have enough games where you go, ooh, that could be interesting, where with Arsenal, There's 2 or 3 games in there that Arsenal could drop points in that at any other stage of the season, you'd go, yeah, Villa away is a hard game. Look what Villa did to you at Villa Park as an example. Wolves have got good results this year or good performances at the very least against a number of decent teams at their ground. So, yeah, it's a hard one for me. It's a hard one for me. That's why I still have Liverpool as slight favourites, followed by City, followed by Arsenal. No matter how good Arsenal are, that run-in is so tough. And if Arsenal was to do it from this point, what an achievement it would be.
Well, what I'd say on Liverpool, bro, is Liverpool are likely to win their next 4 matches. Yes. Because they play Palace, Fulham, Everton, West Ham. Right? I know some of them tricky games, yeah, Derby included, but like they should win those 4 games, which means that City are going to have to wait till Liverpool's final 3 games, which is Spurs, Villa and Wolves, to hope that they drop points. So that's kind of where I'm like, are City really favourites? Because Liverpool are probably going to stay above us until match day, 35? Or match day 30? Yeah, match day 35, 6, 7, 8. Like that.
Where's the game or 2 games that you think that Man City might drop points? Because you think you'll win all 7. I think you will as well. Where could you? Because I just don't see you doing it, bruv.
Listen,
Spurs could be a game that you drop points in.
Of course.
Brighton could be.
Brighton were woeful against Arsenal, though. They were so bad.
They have a performance in them. The other team on there that stands out, like Fulham away potentially.
Yeah, Fulham away could be, you know.
Fulham away could be.
I think Forest is more likely to be a trickier game than Fulham because they're again in a relegation scrap.
Forest
I think Fulham. Fulham.
Beach,
if you get an early goal against Fulham, they'll be on the beaches, Fulham. But I think Forest could be a banana skin. West Ham final day of the season. You know about our West Ham Chester City.
Who plays that week? The weekend of the FA Cup semi-finals. I know, Man. Yeah. I know your game's obviously going to be postponed because it's against Tottenham. The Liverpool and Arsenal play that weekend.
Yeah, Wolves and Fulham. So this is another thing. Apparently, City could be 7 points behind the leaders by the time we play Brighton, because I believe that we play Brighton after Liverpool play Everton and Chelsea. After Liverpool play Everton and Arsenal play Chelsea. So we could be 7 points behind, obviously with games in hand, but 7 points behind. That again, that's a pressure scenario that we're gonna have to deal with.
Yes, it certainly is. It is a pressured scenario because points on the board are worth more than games in hand as a general rule. And then after that round of games that you missed, the following week, Arsenal then play Chelsea on the Tuesday. You guys, and then Liverpool play Everton. You're right. Yeah, you're right. So if they beat Everton and Arsenal was to beat Chelsea, there could be a 7-point gap when you go away to Brighton, and that's where, even though it's Brighton and they've been woeful, that's where just it can get into your head. That's where it can get into your head. God, it's two teams have got to get over, and if that gets into your head, that's when a mistake could happen. So, listen, I'm praying for it because I just don't want you guys doing it. The 4P, we need it to end. But boys, look, I want to actually we've got some super chats left. We've got a couple left here. Sorry. If Arsenal win all their games, that would be 17 wins and 1 draw in 18, 8 in a row, a draw, and then 8 more in a row. That ain't happening, LB. No.
Well, listen, Tevin, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. But at the same time, what's done is done. Arsenal now have 7 games. Forget about the previous 10. They have 7 games. And if they win the 7 games, they'll be champions. Now, when you look at it on a whole, you are right. You'd be saying, well, hang on a minute. If they go and win the next 7 and become Premier League champions, that means that they've won 17 out of 18. That's extremely unlikely. But at the same time, they don't have to win 18 games. They have to win the next 7. So that's why I'm just like, if they do it, listen, if I'm being serious, yeah. If Arsenal or Liverpool go and win the next 7, I'm not going to be salty, man. I'll be disappointed, but I will literally be like, fair dues, because that is unreal. Yeah. I honestly will.
Would you rather United beat City in the FA Cup final and Liverpool win the Europa, or City win second treble? Yeah, the first 2 options, bruv. Like,
yeah, maybe is that not surely for Dan? Surely that's got to be for Dan, no? That can't be for you.
Would I rather United beat City in the FA Cup final and Liverpool win the league and the Europa League, or City win the second treble?
That's got to be for me. Yeah, I'd rather listen. I don't want Liverpool winning the league is far less painful than a team doing a 4P, because that 4P isn't being matched, and then City are on for a 5 fucking P. We've got so exactly, yeah. So yeah, I would take that over that option. Myrtle is stepping down. Happy days. Yes, I'm happy about this. Myrtle has now stepped down, or been fired. Either which way, doesn't matter. He sails off into the sunset as Man United rebuild begins. But I know Dan Potts, he's got to go. He's got to get himself into London for the big game tonight. We're live after both quarterfinal first legs, so make sure you're back here on the football terrace at full time. I'm excited about tonight's games. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.